What happened? Oh, there we are. And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my co-host and counterpart, Joe DeLeone. Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We had ourselves a pretty good weekend in terms of people subscribing to the channel. So I'm excited to see what this week brings us. I think, did we add almost 100 new subs? Is that what the number was?
Something like that in a week. Florida State came out to party.
Maybe Arkansas. Maybe Arkansas comes out the party when we talk about them on Wednesday.
You will know if Arkansas comes out the party because you'll hear banjos. Yeah, and Arkansas fans kind of got after us a little bit today because we are breaking down the SEC West. They didn't like their placement, I guess, necessarily. I'll tell you why I do not. I'm not necessarily high on Arkansas, as Les Miles once famously quoted in saying. But nevertheless, Joe and I will be breaking down our SEC West. I guess, Joe, what about before we get into all this, also, we're going to be talking about Kevin Warren and the absolute idiot that he is. But I guess when you were breaking down the West and thinking about your top 7 in order, what were your initial thoughts?
One thing that really stood out to me, and I was kind of surprised by this, but the 3 teams that I projected at the top, which were the same that you have, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, I'm actually surprised about how easy their non-conference schedule and just their schedules in general are. And I know that this year could be a down year for Alabama, but I think for all 3 of these teams, it's hard to project them to do poorly when they don't have a lot of difficult opponents. The only team that has actually 2 teams that have 2 tough non-conference games are Alabama and LSU. LSU playing Florida State, Alabama playing Texas. But they really have a pretty light path to finish with a good record at the end of the season.
They do. And look, for me, and we'll get into this, 4, 5, and 6, put in any order you want. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me what you do with our list. We'll show that in just a minute. But it really doesn't bother me. Look, Auburn could easily be 4 or 3, or they could easily be 6 under the first you freeze. So you just don't know with them because you got to see what they have on the field. Arkansas, as we touched about, I know that I'm a little bit higher on A&M than you are. I just think there's way too much talent on that team. And I think that they've done some things to remedy coaching, some things I'm hearing. Look, Joe, for what it's worth, now, does this stay the same? I don't know. Jimbo has, from what I understand, taken a little bit of a step back on the offensive side of things. So if that's true, I think that they get a lot better, but we will discuss. Also, so listen, you're in TV, I'm in TV, I guess, technically, right?
Yeah.
There were always rumblings, by the way, that Kevin Warren was a complete and utter Rudy Poo.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to be like the SEC. He tried so hard to be Greg Sankey. I will be real with you. I was a little perplexed when he went to Chicago and took this job with the Bears.
It was very sudden.
Now, all of a sudden, I think we know why.
Oh, we absolutely do, Blake. We absolutely know why it happened. We also know why they hired his eventual replacement. And we're going to get into all this, but man, that was one hell of a headline to wake up to. You texted me when it was like 4:00 my time. That was the first thing that I saw. And I was like, wait, what did Kevin Warren do? To wake up to that and to read that, it was perplexing. It is mind-boggling. The fact that guy was the commissioner of the conference is just, it's crazy that it didn't fall apart quicker, at all in his period of time when he was leading them.
Well, not only that, it just goes to show how incompetent you can be and run a massive company or conference like that. That's what it shows me.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on Kevin Warren and all the Rudy Poo-ness that he's doing. I will add in this, you've been on me saying that Notre Dame might join the Big Ten.
Or should join the Big Ten.
Well, or should. I don't know if they have an option.
Yeah, I mean, this is not really good news to see that the current state of the TV deal is as bad as it is, and the current take-home money for these teams. I don't know what it's going to be after all of this is resolved, but it does not sound like it's going to be as high as we thought it was going to be.
It does not. It does not. So let's get rolling. Let's get started. Everybody do us a favor. Joe, I'm good internet-wise.
So far you're holding up, but as I said, if it gets bad, I will certainly.
Okay. The Rudy Poos over at Spectrum never seem to fail. Nevertheless, everybody hit the like and share to all of your social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, or you can't share on. I guess you can share on YouTube. You can post it.
Yeah.
But YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, wherever you deem necessary. If you listen to us on the audio podcast and or now on any or some smart televisions, we'll give you those details in the next couple of weeks. But thank you for joining us. We're glad to be a part of with you. So hit that like button, hit the share, tell your friends, tell your mom and them that Ruffino and Joe show is live. Let's talk about our good friends over at BetOnline. We're back very quick. Don't go anywhere. We return. We break down our SEC West next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. We're back. Well, Joe, you know who can say that?
Who?
LSU.
I'm surprised that you, of all things, would use that sound to set up talking about your team.
Well, excuse me, as I clear my throat. They put Joe Burrow's mama and daddy up in the nosebleed in 2019, so they can rock hell for all I care. Speaking of Texas, I shared this today on Twitter. Did you see the miscellaneous national champion winners that I posted today?
Yes.
Congratulations to Texas A&M on winning not only wool judging, like a sheep's wool, but also they are the national champions of meat judging.
I mean, if any program, if any institution was going to be good at meat judging, it's Texas A&M. By that, I'd also like to give a shout out to the University of Notre Dame for winning Gaelic football. I have no idea what that is, but they played at this
football. They
played at the stereotype.
Football. Finally, you won a national championship that something had the word football in it.
We did in 1988. That's all I can hang my head on.
Were you alive in 1988?
Yeah, you know damn well I wasn't alive in 1988. Were you alive? Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't either.
So I mean, just throwing that out there. But Gaelic football.
Gaelic means Irish. Stop pronouncing it like that. It means Irish.
Well, how am I pronouncing it?
You're emphasizing a particular word. It is. I'm sure that Notre Dame is only facing themselves. I don't know what other teams are even out there in the country. But they're probably just playing themselves in a one-on-one scrimmage, and they crowned it themselves. But we still won something.
True. I just want to let people know you can never judge my meat. Anyway, let's get over to the SEC West. Joe, I asked you what you thought about up top in reference to when you were breaking down your SEC West, what you thought about it. Let me give you my reason. So as I bring this up here are our projections, Joe and myself. We both have the top three the same: LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss. For me, though, I have A&M, Texas A&M at number 4, Arkansas at number 5, Auburn at number 6, Mississippi State rounding out at number 7. Joe, do you want to read off your list?
Yes. So my ordering things very similar. Top 3: LSU number 1, Bama at number 2, Ole Miss at number 3. I did have a significant shakeup in my ordering after that, though. Arkansas for number 4 for me. Auburn at 5, Mississippi State at 6, and then wonderful Texas A&M was at number 7.
We're going to have to come back to A&M. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're a little harsh on them. I just think you're a little harsh on them, but you never know. We'll talk about that. So let's talk about the top three first. So Joe, both of you and I. So look, we know, and I know what's going to happen when I say I have LSU winning the SEC West.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be called biased. There's a lot of things I'm going to be called. So I'll kick it over to you first. Why do you believe LSU takes over Alabama again in back-to-back years winning the SEC West?
So I have to preface this by saying, for any of our listeners who are aware of Blake's biases, I did not make this decision out of any fear of backlash from Blake. I didn't make this decision because I want to make Blake happy. I have trying to be as realistic as possible. Out of any of the teams in the SEC West, LSU returns with the best production. They return with one of the best transfer portal hauls in the country. They returned with key players at important positions. I think that the fact that you've got one of the most premier pass rushers in all of college football in Harold Perkins is significant. But most importantly, I repeat this once a week, I feel like at this point. Jayden Daniels has been the perfect quarterback for Brian Kelly that he has never had. And we saw signs of what he can do. Him returning for this upcoming season is extremely, extremely significant. I also am very focused on the fact that they're not really losing many significant key pieces on this roster. Like I look at the best guys that they lost were BJ Ojulari and Keishon Butte. And Keishon Butte and guys like Jaquel Roy didn't play up to the expectations that we had hoped for them. So the fact that all of these guys are coming back, all of them, and there's other players that I'm not mentioning here that I'm sure we're going to get to as we open up this discussion, all of those guys coming back sets them up for success. It's hard not to buy into a team that has an elite blue chip roster like this with one of the better coaches in college football. They should, at the very least, go 11-1. And the big thing here, as I said,
you're done.
No. I'm almost done. The big thing, as I said in the beginning of the show, their schedule's pretty damn easy. Their schedule is not, it's not as difficult as I think some people anticipate it to be. As long as if they can beat Alabama, which they will, their only other test, in my opinion, is Florida State.
I'm so glad I waited to give you the applause.
Oh, you don't agree with that?
No, I think it's going to be, I think at the end of all this, it's going to be a top 2, top 3 strength of schedule.
Let me rephrase that. I'm not saying that it's like a cupcake schedule. I'm saying I only see 2 teams that are going to could legitimately beat them. I don't see any. They're going to get challenges from everybody else in their schedule, but I don't think they're going to lose those games.
So let me just add one piece. I do think that LSU has some worries at safety. They do lose Jared Bernard-Converse, who ran the 4.4 in the pro day and got drafted by the Jets. There are some pieces that they're not going to be able to replace because Jared Bernard-Converse, no one, maybe Zy Alexander has that experience. I don't know. Here's the thing for me on LSU winning the West. It's not necessarily everything that LSU's doing. Okay, now, there is a lot that LSU has done in returning production. I think that, like you said, you got Harold Perkins returning, but not only that, you got 5-star edge, outside linebacker, and Deshaun Womack, who I think at the end of the year could be, I'll just be honest, a coach that was, a part of recruiting Deshaun Womack, who broke his commitment on our AYS show, I might add. He might be the best player in that class. He could be Harold Perkins type of guy as an impact freshman. But they return Mason Smith, who got cleared this weekend. They do return a lot of key pieces. But it's not all just what LSU is doing. As much as it is, I can't foresee personally Tyler Buckner being the guy that beats LSU. Now, I know LSU goes to Bryant Denny, and look, I think this gentleman's name is Chris James Sr. Chris is right. But LSU, in reference to LSU going to play in Bryant-Denny, historically, LSU plays better there. That historical facts, that is, you can't debate that, okay? Alabama plays better at Death Valley, historically. Are we going, at the end of all of this, are we going to sit here and say that Tommy Rees and Tyler Buchner, who, by the way, Brian Kelly knows a lot about, is going to overtake LSU? I think a lot of the same roster pieces are the same. Look, they had the number 1 overall recruiting class. You can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
How many of those freshmen are impact freshmen? How many of those guys come in and start? It's not going to be a lot.
But I will say the guys that do contribute, I think, are going to be really good. Like Caleb Downs has a lot of potential.
And I'm not going to degree that. The Proctor kid is probably going to be starting at left tackle. I can't dispute that.
Right tackle.
Well, I think he's going to get – I think somebody's going to get moved.
I think Latham's going to play left, and they'll probably throw – if I were the one making that decision, I would do it that way. Unless you're hearing the opposite?
We'll see.
Okay.
You're not giving Proctor left tackle reps in spring if you're just going to put him over at right tackle.
That's a good point.
Are we we can break down LSU versus Bama position by position, okay? And that's cool. That's cool. Chris can laugh. You can laugh all you want. Historically, go look it up. Do you really believe, are you seriously going to sit here and tell me that Tyler Buchner is going to overtake the SEC West? And why go get Tyler Buchner if he's not the starter? See, Joe, that's the part for me that you do not go get a Tyler Buchner if you think that Milroe or Ty Simpson is your dude. You just simply don't. It makes zero sense.
Unless the approach is that they want to do what Tommy Rees did a couple of years ago with Jack Cohn and Tyler Buchner, where was that
Tommy Rees or was that Brian Kelly in all seriousness?
I think that was both, but maybe that worked tremendously well, though. That's the crazy thing, is that was the best quarterback play that they've had in recent memory, where Jack Cohn was the guy, and then Tyler Buchner came in and they used him as a read option.
The biggest lie, though, is that he wanted to add competition. That's a lie.
Yeah.
You had competition in there. Tyler Buchner doesn't add to that. He adds to the competition, but he doesn't add to what Milroe and Simpson were already going to do. No. He doesn't. If Tyler Buchner's the starter, I cannot foresee them winning the West. That's just me. And I will tell you, I don't remember a time where Saban has been, he's not vulnerable, but vulnerable at that position.
Yes. I will say this. I agree with you on the quarterback situation, unless crazy stuff happens. Like, for example.
And Saban won't run a 2-quarterback system, by the way.
Probably not. For example, last year, we were talking about the quarterback battle that was happening at North Carolina. And look how that one turned out and how good Drake May is. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but someone could rise out of the group that could be better than we're anticipating. One thing I will say, this division is going to be decided off of that Alabama-LSU game. And as we see in rivalry games of this significance, crazy stuff can happen. And Alabama has really good defense. I understand that they lost Will Anderson and guys like Brian Branch and Henry To'oTo'o. The young core of guys that they have on the defensive side of the football are still really freaking good. It is a well-balanced defense. If Kevin Steele gets this unit clicking and in a rhythm by the time that they play LSU, I wouldn't say that this game is a lock for LSU. I'm picking LSU this early on to win the game, but you got to be wary of maybe some craziness happens on the defensive side of the football that for some reason LSU can't figure it out.
Here's my crazy take, and I've held on to it. I think I told you this about 2 weeks ago. I think I could easily see an LSU and Bama making the playoff together.
I do think that that's plausible. I absolutely think that's plausible, and it helps them the timing of when they play each other, and it also helps,
especially if Georgia's not up to snuff and if Georgia can't come out the East and win the SEC championship game.
Well, because what you theoretically could have happened, though, you could have all three of those teams in. You theoretically could have LSU run the table, lose in the SEC championship game. Georgia gets in. LSU gets in with one loss if they beat Florida State. And then Alabama gets in with one loss if they lose to LSU.
Here's the truth. We almost had a 2-loss SEC team get in there. I mean, if LSU would have won out, Joe, they did it in 2007.
They would have gotten in. They absolutely would have gotten in.
If they would have beaten out Georgia, they would have gotten in. Okay,
yeah.
like there's
easier
no
said
other
than
way
done, but they would have. Yeah,
correct. I mean, like I tell you all the time, nothing's close other than hand grenades and horseshoes. In reference to 2023, I just, even if it's Milroe, even if it's Simpson, I just don't see a path where they are better than. Let me ask you this, or let me put it like this: Did Alabama get better offensively?
No, they significantly regressed.
Did they get better defensively?
I think that they are at the same level. I don't think that they've taken a step backwards because Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be better this upcoming year. Dallas Turner is going to be better this upcoming year. And there's a bunch of guys in the wings that were slowly getting worked in at the end of last season. Where
I would agree that they got better on the offensive line, I think that LSU got better defensively, especially on the defensive line.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take that as a little bit of a wash. Look, I just think LSU, when you have games like this, I usually tend to lean to the better quarterback 9 times out of 10. Okay. I'm always going to lead the better quarterback. Joe, last year I said LSU was going to lose to Alabama, but they had a chance if they kept it close in the first half. Basically, everything I said about this time last year and then the week of the game literally came to fruition. Yes. I think Jane Daniels can lead you there. I think that he has things that he wants to get accomplished. I think LSU's deeper and more experienced at positions: wide receiver, offensive line, running back, quarterback, defensive line, linebacker, and secondary. They are more experienced at the key positions that you need to win the game. And why would I not?
Well, I'd also add this too. What's something that's almost not even talked about sometimes in games like this. Jane Daniels has already done it. He's already beaten Alabama. He's coming into this game with the confidence that he knows that he can
outduel Bryce Young for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think that he's going to feel a lot more confident about outdueling Tyler Buckner or Jalen Milroe.
Or Ty Simpson, whoever it's going to be at that given point in time. So it's a juggernaut fight. And
absolutely.
If Alabama were to win, it would not surprise me. Like it would not surprise me whatsoever. You know what I was surprised that you did, though?
What?
That you put Ole Miss at 3. I honestly thought going into this, you and I were going to have a debate more on Ole Miss being put at 3 than anything. So just for a reference, as we go through 3 through 7, Joe and I both have Ole Miss at 3, and then we'll get to the 4, 5, 6, and 7 after this. Why did you have Ole Miss at 3?
I can't discount the talent that's on this roster, and then also the good coaching that's on this roster too, with Lane Kiffin and then now Pete Golden joining the staff.
We did not talk about Pete Golden leaving Alabama, and everybody hated Pete Golden in Alabama, but they had top 10 defenses every year. Now that he's not going to have that at Ole Miss, I don't think.
No. But one thing that it's kind of one of those situations where they're just a little bit better than the rest. And I know that sounds like a detraction, but the reality of it is that Ole Miss has a significantly better roster than Arkansas, Auburn, and the rest of company that is trailing them in my ranking. I'm confident in Jackson Dart. I think that we knocked Jackson Dart unfairly. Quinshon Judkins, having him back and running him the way that they did, doing it again this upcoming year, if he's healthy, they're going to put up some silly offensive numbers. But one other thing that's not talked about enough is the talent that they do have along the defensive line. I really like Jared Ivey. I really like Cedric Johnson. They are a very underrated defensive unit. I see more defensive talent than any of those remaining teams that I have ranked after them. That's why I placed them where they did. It does not help them that their 3 toughest games are against Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. But if they lose all 3 of those games, I see winnable scenarios in the remaining set of opponents that they have.
They did get 21 dudes out of the portal. Okay, they got Spencer Saunders, which headlined everything. Trey Harris is a guy, wide receiver, that they got from Louisiana Tech that I think is going to be a really good player. Now, Chris Marshall, the very talented wide receiver, I mean, who knows what's going on with him? Okay, but they went and got a tight end from Memphis, and Caden. I kept calling him Candy Corn. His last name's not Candy Corn. But they got better on defense, though. Monty Montgomery is the guy that they brought in, and also they went and got a corner as well. So, look, they've got some pieces, okay? They do have some pieces. Here's another thing. They went and got a 5-star linebacker and started locking Mississippi down a little bit. They got the Perkins kid, the linebacker from Raleigh, Mississippi. They are starting to get some of the recruits that they normally wouldn't get because Pete Golding is an outright damn good recruiter, regardless of what anybody tells you. The biggest thing that you said was the first thing, okay, for me, is that Ole Miss is better, in my opinion, than everybody else on this list. If you remember, it was the bigger teams that they started losing to, right? Like it was the Alabama, it was the LSUs that they were losing to. They are better roster-wise and coaching-wise, in my opinion, better than A&M, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Now, the biggest debate and question that we would have here, I'm assuming for you, would be Arkansas. Joe, Arkansas was dead last. Listen to this. Listen to this. They were not dead last in the SEC because they were. They were dead last in the country in passing yards allowed, and they're replacing both coordinators. So when the team that I kind of looked at the most, I'm like, yeah, maybe Arkansas with KJ Jefferson. Joe, they are so bad defensively.
Look, I understand that, but it's in the same vein of the Ole Miss thing. I just think that there's too many damn question marks with the rest of this conference. Like, I'm not going to put Auburn ahead of them because that's ambitious to assume that Hugh Freeze figures it out. I think and I jokingly said this to you on Twitter, I think it's your love for Jimbo Fisher that pushes A&M down.
I don't like Jimbo at all.
I know, I'm joking. You, for some reason, keep propping up this Texas A&M team, which, like, that's kind of where I think the debate is bigger.
8-4 is propping them up, though.
Texas A&M go 8-4. I don't think that they go 8-4. I think that
let's hypothetically act like they don't lose to Ole Miss by a score. Let's act like they don't lose to Appalachian State. Okay, they're hovering around 7-5, 8-4.
They got cleaned in the portal. That's why I'm worried. They didn't really bring that much in. They had a good recruiting class, but they didn't bring that many guys in to replace the litany of talent that went in the draft and then also left in the transfer portal. A lot of 5-star kids hopped elsewhere, including a guy that LSU just got in Denver Harris. Anthony Lucas is significant to lose. All of these young guys that were coming up are gone. Now, I know that there's still 5-star talent on this roster, but I just think it's so difficult to turn around after a drama-filled season when the locker room is a mess. I've been on a team when I was in college. My team was a lot worse than your team was at Southeastern Louisiana. My team had a lot of locker room issues, and we had one good year, and outside of that, none of us could rally as a team because we had locker room issues. I've seen what it's like. It is hard to rally together when you don't have faith in your head coach. I hope that they can figure it out because they've got a lot of explosive athletes. But for me, it's too risky to assume that everything comes together and everyone's bought in on Jimbo.
They did have some very big corner pieces at corner that they went and got, though.
That is true. They did pull a lot of corners in the
I know that they lost Denver Harris, but Tony Grimes and Josh DeBerry were also guys that are going to Texas A&M. They went and got a wide receiver in Tyron Smith, who a lot of people liked out of UTEP. I get what you're saying. By the way, they went and got a Jackson State player. They went and got Jalen Henderson, the quarterback from Fresno State. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I understand it. I know that they lost a lot, okay? It doesn't replace what they have on the offense and defensive lines, though, Joe. You've admitted this. You have admitted this.
Yeah.
They potentially, on both lines of scrimmage, every one of those guys could be top 4-round picks or higher. Would you agree? I mean, look, they have a lot of things on both lines of scrimmage that if they have remotely even a small pulse offensively, defensively, they have dudes. They have dudes now. So, and look, let me tell you this. Let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
It does not behoove me to say that I think A&M can be 8-4. Because you know, and I know, and the chat's already doing it, I'm getting ripped alive off of this. What do I do know? There's two things I know. Number one, they got 5-star talent all across the board. I think that they have more high-end talent than everybody on the list not named LSU and Alabama. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State do not have those type of dudes up front. You know that, and I know that. Now, if Jim Bowden definitely takes a step back of the offense, which I would even still want him to be, if he radioed up to Bobby and said, listen, Bobby, they're going to be in cover 3. Jimbo is still an asset. Jimbo still knows what he's seen on a football field. If they remotely have a pulse, they will be fine. And what I mean by fine is 8-4-ish, 7-5-ish.
So you're talking about, if they have a pulse. I feel like they've been hooked up to life support for months now.
Yeah, but here's the truth. Mm-hmm. You could say, well, Blake, they beat LSU late in the season and LSU didn't have the depth, and A&M did. They are 4 points away and a field goal away from beating Alabama, who they beat the year before. How did they do that? Let me tell you how they did it. They have talent.
They do. But the problem that they've had under the whole time under Jimbo, in the down years that they've had, and so especially last year.
That's one.
Well, they had, besides one. They have had trouble cohesively playing as a team. Football more than any sport.
Offensively. Joe, yes. I can show you multiple times where they have position groups defensively, like last year. Joe, anybody in the chat, go look this up.
Okay.
They were number 1 in the least amount of passing yards allowed. Denver Harris didn't play all that.
Right. Yes. And a lot of that is to the credit of the talent that's on the defensive side of the football. But I'm still pointing to, again, them losing all these guys, all the reported locker room issues. I just worry that if there is one sign of any type of trouble, there is just a little bit of resistance and they start to struggle. Can they rally together? Because right now I don't have enough evidence that they can do that, because when things started to go bad last year, it felt like they all gave up on each other. That's just from an outside onlooker. That's what it felt like.
Well, here's the truth. Let's just run through this schedule really quickly. Okay. Let me tell you, look, they have a very tough schedule in the SEC.
That was a big reason why I also put them to finish like 5-7, 6-6.
Okay. New Mexico win at Miami. Yep. I'm just going to tell you the truth. They're going to beat Miami.
See, that was where I disagree. I don't know if that's
they beat so Miami obvious. Last year. Miami's not any good, bud. They're not good.
Miami's roster is better this year than it was last year, though. They also have a new offensive coordinator.
So is A&M's.
I don't think it's that significant. That game was also not. It's not like it was a blowout.
Joe,
look, I don't think that's a foregone conclusion that they beat Miami. That's kind of
where we're not going to agree on any of this.
Okay.
I still think that they beat Mississippi State. I think they can beat South Carolina.
Yeah.
I think that they can beat Arkansas and Auburn. I think they beat ULM. With that being said, they have the potential. I think their ceiling is 8-4. And I think they get there.
I think at the very most I'm willing to concede to you is 7-5.
Okay. That's fine.
That's the most I'll give you.
Let's look at some more of these. So, Joe, I mean, we're going to do a deep dive on Arkansas. Do you want to kind of table them a little bit and just since we're going to talk about them so much on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think that tabling is a good idea, but just a quick kind of summation thought why I had them there. I don't think we're on different pages. I see them as the 7-5 team. There are obvious defensive concerns, but to return KJ Jefferson, who you're hoping is fully healthy, and Rocket Sanders, that's going to win you some football games that you're not supposed to.
Here's the problem with that. KJ has never gone through a season not hurt.
Yeah, that is an issue. There's a big fat if with that.
It's a big fat if. Let me tell you the truth. They are the worst team in the SEC not named Vanderbilt if KJ Jefferson goes down.
I agree with that. Right, having KJ is very important.
We've seen it.
Yes.
So Malik Hornsby's still out there running for his God-forsaken life, okay? So I'm just telling you, they're a quarterback injury away from being the 7th team in the West.
It's
everybody wants
possible.
to say, well, they got pieces in the portal. You can only go up from being 131st in passing yards allowed. They don't have the dudes, bro.
Wait, but I don't mean to backtrack here on Texas A&M, but like, is Texas A&M's quarterback situation so great that if Weigman goes down, like, is it Max Johnson?
They still have a guy that has 35 starts in the SEC named Max Johnson.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's a little bit better.
A little bit. A little bit.
Okay, I'm being a little problematic with that
statement. 2 seasons of 20-plus touchdown passes. One.
I'm being admittedly problematic with that statement. Okay.
Yeah, I know that you are.
I could see that.
I'm just telling you. They are Arkansas is horrendous without KJ. And which means to tell me that next year when a quarterback goes in the portal, a big-name quarterback, Arkansas has to dump and load, all of their monies on a transfer quarterback.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Auburn did. Well, in the sense that they need to go out and get options.
True. By the way, did you see Peyton Thorne got a $95,000 truck when he went to Auburn this past weekend?
That's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
It's also what Jaquez Hunter.
No, don't. Come on, man. Nope, don't. We're better than this. Oh my God.
Can I please say it?
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
That's what Jaquez Hunter would call a load.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
That had to have been the most unfortunate news, by the way, to see that.
I mean, listen, don't make sex videos.
Some dudes are into that. We don't need to dive into that.
All right, so we'll break down a lot of Arkansas tomorrow. We really need to get this Kevin Warren stuff.
Yeah.
Both of us are kind of out on Mississippi State.
It's tough to deal with the adversity.
Yeah, man, I hate it. And because, man, it's just, oh.
I will say I'm a little more optimistic on Auburn than you are, as I tweeted. They had a really good portal class.
I said this in the beginning of the show, though. If Auburn ended up at 3 on this list, it would not shock me at all.
Yeah.
Hey, when I was going down the schedule on the list, I had Auburn beating Ole Miss.
So that makes sense.
It was Ole Miss's 3rd loss.
It's possible, and kind of like I did with all these, I looked at all these schedules as we're wrapping this up. Their 3 most difficult games are Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama. And as you said right there, Ole Miss is a potentially winnable game. That Auburn roster is not as bad as I think some people want to admit. I know that it's a tough transition and there's a lot of roster fluctuation. They lost a couple key defensive players, but I think that there's a recovery window for them to take over. And assuming that Jarquez doesn't record any more videos and do anything stupid, he is a really good SEC running back that does not get enough.
He's suspended indefinitely. He might not.
Why is he suspended though? Like what?
He's on the video.
I don't really know the full context of the situation, so I'm not going to
continue. Okay. I mean, there could be.
I just know that he was recorded in a video and it was passed around. That's all I understand. That's all I know.
An ex went after him. All right. Yeah, it's just really tough. But Auburn might be the toughest place to coach in the country. I mean, you got to play in a month. LSU, Alabama, and Georgia.
Wait, say it again.
in a month every
Yes.
year, Auburn normally has to play LSU, Georgia, and Alabama.
And they don't have to play LSU this year.
Yeah, they do.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, you're crazy. They're both in the West. I was about to call you something bad. Auburn.
Am I blind?
Yeah, you're
Oh, they
blind.
are. Oh my God, I
Look at
am
your
blind.
glasses. I mean, so they got to play LSU,
Oh,
Georgia, and Alabama right off the bat. That's 3 losses that they could have.
they could still finish 7-5.
They could. They could. Or they could finish 9-3. That could just be their 3 losses. All right.
Yep.
Let's do this. Let's talk about our friends over at BetOnline really quickly. We do need to talk about Kevin Warren. What an idiot. We're back soon. Don't touch that dial. You're going to want to hear this. Kevin Warren is an absolute piece of. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first to market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. Hopefully my internet has held up this entire show. It's been okay?
Yes. It hasn't been so detrimental. You will never top that one Colorado show that we did, which was like one of our most watched shows.
So is
We
it
will never
lagging?
attempt it.
Is it lagging?
It is just occasionally a little choppy. You're perfectly easy to hear. You're not cutting in and out. Again, you will never, ever top the poor internet I had in one of our early shows. I will tell you, you know that.
It just makes my heart hurt so bad. So bad. All right. So in case you missed it, Kevin Warren is an outright idiot. So not only was Kevin Warren, the former Big Ten commissioner, an idiot in 2020, aka a Corona bro, but it was reported that the Big Ten had a $7 billion with a B TV deal, and it was the next big thing. Guess what, Joe? Pete Thamel reported from ESPN, and you could read this article, that it didn't happen. Just so happened that Kevin Warren, before he left for the Chicago Bears, didn't get any signatures, and it didn't go through. So Mr. Patetti, Tony Patetti, is the new commissioner of the Big Ten. Now we know why, because he was a CBS TV guy, and he's been a TV guy his entire life, and now he's the commissioner of the Big Ten. Now we know why. So, Joe, there's something that I didn't know in this and reading this article. Now, I kind of knew it, but I thought it was just something that the Big Ten did. There's a tolerance agreement. Did you know this? That they don't play night games. Maybe once a year. Penn State might play a whiteout every once in a year. But Kevin Warren gave NBC, a 2026 championship game for the Big Ten, and was going to allow the Big Ten to play night games live on NBC. Here's a problem with that, though. Fox owns the rights to the Big Ten. They don't even own their own rights. The Big Ten is an affiliate of Fox. So what's interesting about this is not only did Kevin Warren not get the signatures on the biggest deal in college football history or college TV football history, he didn't get the signatures on the most decorated document in sports history.
This is, first of all, too good to be true. We should have saw the writing on the wall when it happened. The absolute irony for when he left, for him to make the statement that he left the Big Ten in a demonstratively better position than when he showed up, is horrid that he made that statement. That is ridiculous that he made that statement, that he believed he set them up for success. When he did quite possibly the worst thing he could have done. Pushed out a false headline without having the necessary actions for it to succeed. And then on top of that, just piecing. Now, I'm going to say something here that's going to spark a little ire in you, I believe. Them hiring Patetti, it makes sense why they did it. But it's proof of why is the right decision to have a commissioner that has a TV background running the conference. Because more often than not, those that don't have that background are going to struggle to understand the intricacies of how to properly negotiate and orient all of this.
But how does Kevin Warren not know that Fox owns their rights?
Because he's a dumbass. He's a dumbass.
Being a dumbass does not mean that you need to make the commissioner a TV guy.
I think, he was a dumbass, but at the same time.
How do you not know the number one thing that you have to do? Joe, Pete Thamel reported that both sides of this, and I haven't even gotten to the best part in all this, both sides on the fine print are so far apart that the deal's probably not even happening with NBC anymore, which, by the way, the Big Ten owes the NBC $40 million, and guess who doesn't pay it? Guess who doesn't pay it? The Big Ten. Did you know in this article from Pete Thamel that they have to go to every Big Ten school and ask for roughly $5 million to pay out NBC?
That's ridiculous. That's how horrible he set them up. But my only point here is that if you have somebody with a TV background, they're going to know how to properly navigate this stuff, and they wouldn't have set them up for this situation. Patetti's not going to fix it.
And what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be a TV guy to know that you don't own your rights. And here's another thing. What, are lawyers not involved in this?
They are, and it sounds like Kevin Warren made a lot of decisions and statements and
he didn't
propositions with
it.
Exactly my point.
You know what else? Shame on NBC. They knew that. They knew. They were trying to get $40 million, and good on them. If someone's going to do bad business.
I mean, I don't totally know for certain, though, that NBC.
Joe, how did they not know? How did they not know? How?
Maybe there was.
Explain to me how they do not know.
Maybe there was a belief that there would be an opening for them to be able to work that in.
Here's how I know that they know. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
ESPN and NBC had to cut a deal, an agreement together when Notre Dame played in the ACC during the COVID season. And remember, the Clemson game was on they came to a agreement that remember the game was on USA Network. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. It was, and then it was something stupid. And then they went to the inaugural presidential thing, and they had to move the game. That's why the game was on USA Network. Okay. They knew. These TV guys know. Joe, if we hear the rumblings, how did they not know? That is BS. Now, I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
You've been on my rear end this entire time about Notre Dame. There is no way now that NBC and Fox can get in bed together with NBC. You know who already has a working agreement together with Notre Dame? ESPN and the ACC.
Yes.
Buddy, I'm just going to tell you something. I will be shocked, and I could be wrong, and will admit if I'm wrong. I will be shocked if Notre Dame doesn't end in the ACC.
I will admittedly say that I am conceding that this is very detrimental for my hopes of Notre Dame joining the Big Ten if they were to join a conference. I think that the concern for the future of them handling these TV deals, I'm sure that Notre Dame, which is precautionary as they are, that they're probably not going to be interested in making this move. They're, to your point, probably leaning ACC.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Welcome to big boy football.
Well, okay. Wait, what do you mean by that?
It's different in the South, bro. It's different in the South. And look, they're going to go to a Big Two. They're going to go to a Big Two. And Notre Dame's going to lean with the South on this one. You know why? More Catholics.
Wait, what? Wait, what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I'm just making up BS. But I think that they're going to lean with the South, and I think they're going to lean with the ACC. I really do believe that.
I think at this point, this is enough proof that is the direction that this is going in for Notre Dame. I'm a little bit distracted by the fact, so I pulled up Kevin Warren to see his background. I'm really disheartened to find
he was an attorney, right?
Yeah. Do you know where he went to law school?
I think Harvard or Princeton.
No, he went to. He got his JD at the University of Notre Dame. So that's absolutely ruined my day. Finding that out after all the shit that I just talked. He had multiple other.
We are a high academic school. We're a high academic school, and you can't even read.
He should have been hired in the first place, Blake. He should have been. They should have hired Patetti or a TV guy in the first place if this is what the focus was.
It's not his fault he can't read.
Do you even have a law school? Do you guys even have one? I don't even know. Do you have a law school?
Yes.
I've never seen you in a ranking before for law schools. If you have one.
Because we don't need your rankings. We got the ranking from the Lord, and it's in football. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
The man went to Notre Dame and can't even read. It's like, do you remember when Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor fought in boxing?
Uh-huh.
Conor McGregor so famously said to Floyd Mayweather, "Why do you have a book sack? You can't even read." Kevin Warren, why do you have a law degree? You can't even read.
Look, I know you're not going to want to admit this, but I don't think it's because he didn't know I think he legitimately just made a bunch of false promises without confirming. I think that's all what it was.
Business. He was trying to wheel and deal and got caught.
Yeah, he was trying to be a negotiating savant and do all this crap, and it didn't work because he didn't check. He didn't do his due diligence. He wasn't well caught up on all the information he needed to have. Again, I really think that Patetti is the guy to fix all of this, and he's the one to lead the conference because you need in the future, you need a TV guy.
You would hope so. You would hope so. All right. Been a good one.
Good show. I
enjoyed it. All right, guys, we'll see y'all Wednesday. We're going to talk some Arkansas. Might have a big old debate on our hands. Arkansanians are not happy. Arkansasians?
They're not happy with you. I don't think anyone's upset with me.
Yeah, they're not. No one gets mad at you because you don't have hot takes. And good.
Yes, I do. What are you talking about? I piss you off every show. What are you talking about?
That you do. All right, we'll see y'all Wednesday, guys. Y'all have a good one. Peace.